So, you just finished making your monster catching game where you aim and throw mon orbs to catch monsters. Hopefully you're successful. Regardless, now you have to aim and throw a monster out to fight in the field. You send off monster catching mayhem to the Steam store, ready to get a good night's rest for the first time since the start of development. What happens next? The next morning, you have a lawsuit in your inbox from Nintendo, and they are pissed. Wake up because Mommy Miyamoto is getting the Switch. What's up? I'm Ignatius Real, CEO of Your Soul Studio. It's ours if you have fun. And today I want to talk about Nintendo's lawsuit and give you 3 game idea workarounds to keep your bum from feeling the burn. There's a lot of misinformation about this lawsuit going around. I'm not a professional lawyer, just an indie dev himself who loves Pokemon. Probably like a lot of you, I grew up hearing the story of Dr. Bug Satoshi Tajiri seeing a caterpillar inching across a cord and inspiring a game where you can trade creatures with your friends. That's sweet and all, but how did we get here to see the metaphorical equivalent of a dragon standing on his hoard scaring everyone away from the shiny treasure? Well, for starters, this patent is only in Japan, not the US. We denied it over here, which makes this video a little hypothetical if you're US based. More importantly, the patent is not on the Pokeball or the Pokeball catching mechanic alone. That's only sort of right, so let me clear that up first. There's a Reddit post made by a US patent agent named Yoo that explains it much better than I can. I'll throw it up on the screen and link it in the description to give it a good read once or twice. TLDR, I got you. Nintendo patents switching between a first mode and a second mode based on the input of the first mode. The first mode is aiming and throwing a capture device out onto a space, and the second mode is aiming and throwing out a fighting character to initiate a battle. Thank you for saving the spread of misinformation. Now that we've cleared that up, here are some ways you can avoid this lawsuit in your next big monster catching hit phenomenon. Pokemon might be the mother of all monster catching subgenre of games, but certainly isn't the only one. With that in mind, let's get ourselves thinking out of the box and looking at other titles and how they handle monster capture for inspiration. Almost as old, Digimon games can certainly vary depending on the series, system, and development team behind the one you happen to pick up. I find most of the games to be an improvement over the Pokemon franchise, and maybe I'll talk about that one day, but for now, let's talk about Digimon Capture. Particularly, we're going to look at the Digimon World series for the DS and the Digimon Cyber Sleuth series for various platforms. In these games, you gain data on a Digimon you fight, and after you get 100%, you can export them to have that very type yourself. It even ties into the lore of the game, which takes place with you getting sucked into the digital world. So, Digimon are data, making grasping complex systems easier and using recognizable terminology like scan or export we see daily is smart. Thinking like that, if your game took place in a modern or futuristic time, you could do something similar by scanning or downloading monsters you encounter to catch them with a phone-like device instead of a one-time catcher device you throw. Maybe a fully scanned or downloaded monster becomes an app that you tap to digitize them into reality. Instead of 6 Pokeballs, you have a certain amount of space on your phone, like you do in Digimon on your Digivice. And you can fill up your team, sure, but not if you run out of storage. Futuristic or modern might not be your style. Maybe you're more like me and enjoy a good fantasy or medieval adventure. Then look no further than the Rune Factory series. Before every farming game was dubbed another Stardew Valley, there were 2 franchises that were the faces of the cozy farming sim. Although Harvest Moon from back in 1996 is really what we owe thanks to when we're playing pretend on various virtual farms, it wouldn't be until 2006 that we got our fantasy Harvest Moon. No, really, Rune Factory's first game title was just that, Rune Factory, a fantasy Harvest Moon. It was Harvest Moon, but more RPG. Now you can fight monsters and have a farm. Bring those little baddies back with you to your stable, or with you to hunt down their brethren for resources. Ooh, goody. A brush is required to tame these monsters. Try not to die while brushing and feeding them until they like you enough to fight for you. So there's another interesting way to go about it. Maybe you gain the trust of a monster to catch it, all while its feral ass is trying to turn yours into lunch. For this capture method, you can even include the aiming part again, by aiming and throwing food in their direction or sneaking up close to groom them. Now they'll follow you if you've earned their trust, sort of like Disney Dreamlight Valley when you gain the trust of the woodland creatures. They won't just follow you around because you did it once. That squirrel needs to know it's not on the menu after you fatten it up with acorns. The last idea wasn't born out of inspiration from another game series like the former two, but just an actual plausible solution for Palworld. At least, if I were to mix a survival game and a monster catching one, I think this might be how I'd like to go about it. Miyamoto's sweating in anticipation, but you could thank me later, Pocket Bear. Hire me and we're even. All jokes aside though, I saved my favorite idea for last. My grandfather was an ex-Amishman and I grew up in the country my whole life, so really I was just thinking about how an actual farmer might have to take down cattle while trying not to kill it. Then made it more fantastical with references from old cowboy movies my dad loves watching. What if you have to subdue them with traps or tools like some of the ones Palworld and other survival games allow you to craft? Nintendo always says a good button, or in our case, tool, has multiple functions. I mean, look at Jump Band Mario himself. But Mark Brown over on GMTK already did an amazing video talking about that topic, so check it out if that concept piques your interest. You could use a rope like a lasso and hog tie them down to subdue them, maybe even drag them back to a base to capture. Other traps work on beasts that can best the rope, maybe like a pitfall trap you can lure it into while fighting, or a bear trap that hurts them but keeps them stationary for wrangling with a catching stick like animal catchers or outdoor rangers might use. You can even have your caught pals drag bonded ones back to your base for transfer. As indies, it's great to look at the top and see what they're doing and what they did to get there. And it's very clear the devs over at Pocket Pair grew up cherishing their Nintendo. Just listen to this sound effect and tell me it sounds familiar, because you wouldn't be wrong for thinking it was from Breath of the Wild. Nintendo, more specifically Shigeru Miyamoto, continues to be one of my biggest inspirations and role models as a game developer. So I'd like to get you started by recommending a list of monster catching games I've played that might help inspire you create your next hidden gem. It's also imperative we keep up with patents the big bullies like these could possibly slam down on us. I'm sure they didn't expect to be a blimp on Nintendo's radar before getting this lawsuit, yet simple modesty like this can easily disguise itself as pride, so we won't act on what we know we should. I hope these ideas help keep your game's bottoms out of the spanking train.
We finally got enough people for a 7-mile spanking machine. Ouch! 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 Next!
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like to let me know. This was a lot of fun sharing game ideas and talking about where some of them came from. What's your favorite non-Pokemon monster catching game? Mine is Digimon World series, not the DS ones, although they are fun too. I'd have to say my top is Digimon World Next Order, but Digimon World 4 would be close. Don't forget, once we get to 100 EXP, that's subscribers, I'm going to release the assets for my first game, Flip 'em Monsters, for free. They're $1 on the asset store right now, and the game is $3. I'm currently updating it, so any new assets that get made will be added to the list of freebies. As always, please like and comment your thoughts on the video. The Eggs Eats Your Soul show is only on YouTube and TikTok. I'm your host, Ignatius Real, CEO of Your Soul Studio. It's ours if you have fun. Peace!